Welcome to our second Back to the Future session. I'm Becca.
And I'm Chanda, and we're going to be hosting you once again Back to the Future. So if you were with us last week, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. We've got a lot of fun activities in store for you. So we have some games, we have some competitions, and we have an amazing talk from our very own Danny Lazama. And as always, we want to encourage you guys to interact with us, and the way you can do that is just by saying hello in the live chat and just getting involved. Get stuck in. And last thing we also have is a live house band, and they get me excited. So I'm going to pass it over to Charlotte to introduce all the band members.
Yeah, so hi, my name's Charlotte and I'm on keys today. And then we've also got Jodie and Danny singing, and we've got Nathan on cajon and acoustic guitar.
Amazing. What a band. What a band. So before we head back to them, we've got another little poll for you. So I think it's in the comments section. It should be there. But the question and the big debate today is, what's better? Is it iPhone or Android? Wow, 5 votes already.
Android?
Android!
I am
Wow.
shocked.
Sorry, I'm shouting into the mic. No one saw this coming, that's why I'm shouting. What do you think? What's your favourite
iPhone.
phone?
Has to be iPhone. Come on, guys, vote iPhone, you know.
Yeah, I think iPhone's good for like FaceTime and that, but I think Android is generally probably better.
Yeah, but iPhone looks better.
Well,
It's all
the
about
people
looks.
are already like speaking, and Android is clearly ahead of the game. So we're going to refer to that throughout the whole of the evening. So please do comment and engage with that. But for now, we're going to head back to the house band for our very first song.
I was lost with a broken heart. You lift me up, now I'm set apart. From the ash I am born again, forever free in the Savior's hands. You are more than my words could say. I'll follow you, Lord, for all my days. I'll fix my eyes following your ways, forever free in unending grace. 'Cause you are my freedom. We lift you higher, lift you higher. Your love, your love, your love, never ending. Oh, oh, oh. You are alive in us. Nothing can take your place. You are all we need. Your love has set us free. Whoa. Whoa. In the midst of the darkest night, let your love be the shining light, breaking chains that were holding me. You set your sun down and set us free. Everything of this world will fade. I'm pressing on till I see your face. I will live that you will be done. I won't stop till your kingdom come. 'Cause you are my freedom. We lift you higher, lift you higher. Your love, your love, your love, never ending. Oh, oh, oh. You are alive in us. Nothing can take your place. You are all we need. Your
Amazing. So now it's time for fake or fun. And basically what we do is that we look at some of the events that have taken place this week to see, is this really true? Did this really happen? So the first one, there was a young boy called Stellan Smith, and he wanted a sunflower as tall as the house. And most people his age just want like a bike, but this guy wanted a sunflower as tall as the house. And his dad rose to the challenge and actually grew a 21-foot plant. So we've got a little picture for you. Here we go. Ooh. Yep, there it is.
Wow, that is Dad of the Year. He deserves an award.
It's really triumphed. So there it is, a sunflower the size of a house. Yep.
Fair enough. And in other crazy news, there was this man driving on the motorway and he ran out of fuel. He just so happened to have a motorized scooter. I think we have a picture here. So he had this bad boy and he thought, I'm going to use this to go across 4 lanes of traffic, zoom down, and there just so happened to be a garage on the other side, believe it or not. But unluckily for him, somebody must have saw him because the police caught him and he was charged with reckless and dangerous driving. Yikes.
It's insane, isn't it? It's just crazy. I love that he just had that scooter in the back of his car ready for any situation. And lastly, you might hope that this is fake. None of us really know, to be honest. But there's a big topic around TikTok. And here's Donald Trump. That's right, he's not very happy. And he's actually threatening to ban TikTok. Again, we don't know if this is really going to happen. And I think people are probably going to be worrying about what they're going to do with their time.
Can't ban TikTok. Come on, it's the youth's favorite platform.
That's right. I did my first TikTok this week.
We need to play that. We need to play that after this.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, let's go back to the poll and see what the latest...
Oh my, Android's still winning.
Wow, look at that.
Tight. It's tight though.
It is tight, but yeah, I'm surprised, to be fair, but that is quite successful.
Well, next we have The Life of Phil.
Life of Phil.
That's got to be my favorite jingle, not going to lie. So yeah, every week we are catching up and finding out where Phil is in England or in the world.
So Phil was born in London on the 31st of August 1992, and he is one man with one big heart for adventure. So the question is where is Phil this week? Where was he last week? Can you remember?
He was in Bognor Regis.
We still don't know where that is.
I was going to say.
I ain't got a clue. Yeah. So where do you think Phil is this week? Why don't you write it in the comments? I know a lot of you said Selyoke last week. I did watch that and see that you wrote Selyoke, which, fine. But anyone got any thoughts where Phil might be, Chanda?
I know where he's not, and he's not in York.
He's not in York?
Not in York, for sure.
Wow, what a bold statement. I think Phil might be in London. Yeah. Anyway, let's find out. Where is Phil this week? Here we go. Where is that?
It looks like a castle.
It looks like a castle. I've got no idea where that is. So let's find out. Drum roll, please. And the answer is Phil is in Birmingham. Oh, Birmingham. And what do we say to that?
I'm a bit disappointed, He needs to get out more. I'm not going to lie.
We say, Phil, you're a man of adventure. Get out more. I'm
Zero
joking.
for effort. No effort.
We love you, Phil.
Guys, next we have our lessons from lockdown. And during this segment, we just want to catch up with everyone. Just find out what you've learned during this period.
My lesson from lockdown would probably be to cherish those you love and to hold them close, as me and my family have become closer and more as one during this lockdown period, and me and my friends, as we go our separate ways and go into different secondary schools, are trying to make the most of the time we have together.
Amazing stuff. And if you want to get involved with Lessons from Lockdown, then all you have to do is contact us and send us a nice, short 1-minute video. For now, let's head over back to the house band with Graves into Gardens.
searched the world, and it couldn't fill me. Man's empty praise and treasures that fade are never enough. Then you came along and put me back together. And every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing, nothing is better than you. I'm not afraid to show you my weakness, my failures and flaws. Lord, you've seen them all, and you still call me friend. 'Cause the God of the mountains is the God of the valley. There's not a place your mercy and grace won't find me again. There's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you. No, there's nothing, nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who cares. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who cares. You turn graves into gardens. You turn burns into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who cares. You're the only one who cares. There's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. No, there's nothing, nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing, nothing is better than you.
Are you ready for? Get ready for competition time!
Yes, competition time. And this week's competition requires a bit of skill. So we have a football keepy-uppy competition between young versus old. We have in one corner Dave Cooper, and in the other corner we have Iade.
So who do you think's going to win? Why don't you write in the chat? Is it Dave or is it Iade? Chanda, what are you thinking?
I've got to go with my boy Iade on this one. I mean, my heart says Iade, my head says Dave's knees are too old. They're
Yeah.
just done for.
I'm rooting for Iade here massively, yeah. But you never know. You never know. Miracles do happen. So let's find out who won this week's competition. Well, there you have it. Miracles do happen. Well done, Dave.
Can I just say, yeah, listen, Dave was a bit all over the place. He was a bit all over the place. He got to lose some points for that, you know.
Yeah,
Iade was in his kitchen. That's skill.
And it was pure skill. Dave looked so amateur. But do you know what? We just got to let him have his moment.
We'll let him have his moment.
I can imagine he's cheering right now at the telly. I actually said to Iade, you better win because Dave needs like some humility. But
true.
you know what? He's got to have this moment. It might not come around again. So I'm only messing, Dave. No, I'm not. Half joke. So that's it for competition time this week. And now we're going to head over to Danny, who's going to share the word this evening.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this evening. My name is Danielle, and I work as one of the youth leaders in church. And today I'll be giving everyone a talk on the story of Gideon. But before we get into the word and before we get into Gideon, I want to just share with you some good news that has happened to me. Whenever I'm giving a talk at youth, I like to start it off with good news, amazing news. I love testimonies. I love hearing people's stories of great things that God has done. So I just want to encourage you to use the chat facility if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, and just share with church something that you're thankful for. So I'm going to kick it off. For me, I had fantastic news this past week. So my sister-in-law and my brother, they welcomed a little boy, and it was literally a week ago today, actually. So he's a week. And it's such amazing news. My family keeps growing. I've literally had 5 nieces and nephews in the last 3 years. So the family's getting really big, and we just feel so happy and blessed just to keep welcoming babies because they're such blessings. So I just want to encourage you to do the same. Just share something that you're happy about and a way that God has blessed you this week. So today we're going to be speaking about Gideon, and we're going to be seeing what we can learn from the life of Gideon and how we can use this in our day-to-day life. So I'm just going to pick out a couple of verses from the book of Judges, And what I'll do is I'll catch you guys up with where we're at. So if I can ask you now to turn to Judges chapter 6, and we're going to be looking at verses 12 to begin with. But before we get to verse 12, I'm just going to let you guys know where we're at this point. So the book of Judges is in the Old Testament, and we're looking at the Israelites. They have turned away from God. They are living a life that God isn't pleased with, and so God has, given them to the hands of the Midianites, and these are enemies that are out to attack the Israelites, and they are stealing their crop, they're stealing their land. The Israelites are so scared, they're so worried, they have no sense of security. And at this point, they have turned back to God. They're saying, God, please help. We're so sorry. Please show up. And God is so graceful. He says, okay, I will send you a prophet called Gideon. So this is where in verse 12, this is where we're going to meet Gideon. So just to let you know, Gideon is literally out in a field hiding, and he's trying to hide away some crop. So, the Midianites, they don't steal the crop. He's trying to make sure his family, they've got enough food and stuff. And God shows up to Gideon whilst he's in hiding, right? I just want to label that point. So we're going to pick up in Judges chapter 6, verses 12. And it says, when the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, the Lord is with you, mighty warrior. And I just want you just to remember how the Lord addresses Gideon. He doesn't say, the Lord is with you, Gideon. He says, the Lord is with you, mighty warrior. So we're going to skip past verses 13, 14. And just to give you an idea of what was said, basically Gideon is angry with God. He's like, how could you say you're with us? Look at what's happening. There's so much famine. There's so much destruction. How could you really say you're with us? And God just does what God does. He says, well, am I not sending you? Have I not showed up? I'm sending you. So we're going to pick up now in verses 15. And Gideon says, pardon me, my Lord. Gideon replied, but how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family. And the Lord answered, I will be with you. You will strike down all the Midianites, leaving none alive. So I just want to pause there. And if you are taking notes, the title for this talk would be about self-doubt. So I think it's so interesting to me that Gideon, he sees himself, not only is he weak, he is the weakest of the weak. He says, God, why would you choose me? I am the least in my family, and my family is the least in society. How could I ever deliver us from the hand of Israel? From the Midianites. So what I want you to do now is just to think about something that you have self-doubt about. I think it's so common. I think we often doubt ourselves. And I know I do. If you're close to me, a close family or friend, you would know that often I doubt myself for the smallest of things. And I think it's something we all struggle with. I think we all struggle with self-doubt. So I want you to think about something that you have self-doubt about. Maybe it's something God has placed on your heart. Maybe it's a responsibility God has given you. Maybe it's something massive and grand that seems too big, and you're self-doubting yourself, you're self-doubting your ability to do it. If you're brave, I want to encourage you to put it in the chat, actually. Something that doesn't seem like you are big enough to do. And I think Gideon, really, he gives us a good example of what it means to self-doubt. Gideon, in the following verses, which we don't have time to read, but I would really encourage you to read in your spare time, Gideon goes on to test God 3 times. And I know sometimes God might place something on my heart, and I would be like, God, are you really sure? Okay, do this. And, if this happens, then I'll believe you. And Gideon's the same. Gideon goes on and he asks God 3 times, are you sure it's me? Okay, I'm going to do this. And if it's you, this will happen. And when you go on to read the verses, you will see he asked for some really bizarre requests. And actually God shows up and God does them. God's like, yeah, Gideon, it's you I'm calling, it's you I want to do this job. So after the 3 tests that Gideon has given God, Gideon's now, he feels as though, yeah, okay, I can actually carry out this task. God has showed me that it's not by my strength, but I'm going to do it through him. So Gideon's feeling ready. God has told him, go get an army. We're going to go and we're going to fight these enemies. And I just love the last verses of this chapter, because God just does what he does always and what he does best. Gideon shows up with an army of 22,000 men. So if you can just picture 22,000 men, right? And he must be on top of the world. He must be thinking, right, that's it. I've got this big army. I've got God. Let's do this, right? And God looks at Gideon and says, that's too many. That's too many men. If you deliver Israel out of the hands of their enemies with that many men, they're going to say it wasn't God. They're going to say it's the big army you had. So what does God say? God says, actually, cut that in half. That's too many. So Gideon says, okay. And he goes ahead and he cuts it down to 10,000 men. And at this point, Gideon is probably still thinking, okay, 10,000 is not too bad. I can probably still do this. And God turns around to Gideon and says, no, sorry, it's just too many. It's just still too many. And at this point, Gideon must be thinking, okay, God, what is God trying to do here? And God puts Gideon through another screening process to reduce the army even further. And by the end of it, they go from 22,000 men to 300 men. I just want you to think about that kind of decrease. And God says, right, now you're ready. You've got 300 men. I've called you and you've got me. Now you're ready. I don't know about you, but if I was Gideon, I'd be thinking, what have I agreed to? And like I said before, I would really encourage you to read the verses and to read this whole chapter. But needless to say, Gideon is able to defeat the Midianites. They win, and they win against this enemy with 300 men. And Gideon, the weakest of the weak, and his family, and God. And the reason I want you to remember, I asked you to remember what Gideon was called by God, mighty warrior, in verses 12, is because in that moment, what did Gideon see himself as? He saw himself as the weakest of the weak, but God saw him as a mighty warrior. And this is the lesson I want us to remember and to learn today, that what we see ourselves at, what we call ourselves, it doesn't matter. Our self-doubt, not only is it a little bit normal, I think, as humans, not only is it a little bit okay, I think what we view of ourselves is a little bit insignificant. Gideon viewing himself as the weakest of the weak, it didn't matter. God viewed him as a mighty warrior, and that's what he went on to become. So I really want to encourage you that if you feel that you are not strong enough to carry out a task God has given you, a responsibility, your job, if you're self-doubting about your career, I want you to just remember that actually it's what God calls you. It's what does God say you are. That's what we have to believe. It doesn't matter what you think you are in this moment. It's what God says you are. And I just had a quick look in the Bible to look at scriptures of what God calls us. And these are some of the examples. It's not an extensive list, but what does God say we are? God says that we are more than conquerors. He says that we are overcomers. He says that we are no longer slaves to sin, that we are accepted. God says that I am righteous, I am chosen, and most importantly to me, God says that I am loved. So I just want you to leave with the fact that if you're self-doubting, if you don't feel like you're good enough, that's okay. It doesn't matter what you think about yourself. It matters what God thinks about you. And I just want to encourage you to believe what God says you are. Don't believe what you say you are. And that could be either way. I mean, Gideon thought he was the weakest of the weak. You might think you're the greatest, and you are the greatest, but that's through God. That's not through your strength. So what I really think we can learn from Gideon is that self-doubting is something that happens. It's something that's normal, but we have to believe who God says we are, not who we say we are. And I wanted to share one final verse before I leave tonight and hand over to the band. And it's a scripture in 2 Corinthians where it's talking about our weaknesses. And if you wanted to turn, it's 2 Corinthians chapter 12. And I'm going to pick up in verses 8. So it says, 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I take delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. And I just want to encourage you that if you feel weak, if you feel doubtful, that's okay. Christ's power can work best in your weakness. And don't get tied down with what you call yourself. If you call yourself the weakest of the weak, that's okay. God calls you a mighty warrior. And I just want to encourage you to just believe what God calls you and who God says you are. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a lovely week. Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Danny, and I'm sure you all loved that. What a powerful talk. And right now we're going to have another song, and it's called I Am Who You Say I Am. And why don't you just use this as an opportunity to just like surrender all of your self-doubt and just let these words just like speak over you, because this is what God says of you. So let's head back to the house band.
Awesome stuff from the house band. And now it's just time to check on the final results of our poll, which is the better phone. Is that iPhone winning,
Oh my word, what is happening?
iPhone has come back.
Wow.
Normality is restored. Can't let Android win. Come on. And guys, just wanted to let you know as well that if you want to contact us in any way, please do get in touch. And the best way to do that is by visiting our website at www.weareclc.co.uk.
Brilliant. And before we sign out, just a little thought that came into my head. Like Danny said, there is a greater story in the Bible about Gideon, and Danny just touched on it. So why don't you, maybe this week, you might want to just read around that story, and there's lots more other amazing stories found in the Bible. And you might be thinking, well, Becca, I don't have a Bible. Well, I've got good news for you, and the good news is that there's an app called YouVersion. That's right. And that's got the Bible on there. And so I would just really want to encourage you this week. Why don't you read that? If you've never read it before, give it a go. But before, oh no, that's the end. I was going to say before we go, but that is the end. So we're going to leave you now, but please do join next week, 8 p.m. I hope you have a fantastic week. Brilliant. Bye.